It's Jam TV show 151. Hey, Bill Melman.
Hey, Dre. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm okay.
How's summer? Too hot already?
Absolutely. I am counting the minutes till October.
It was freezing cold a minute ago, and then all of a sudden, bang!
Yeah, it's really hot at the beach, and I got to do stuff down there. So you're doing stuff, and it's hot, and then the 4th of July was just such a fucked up thing. What happened? Well, it was dominated by crappy weather reports, as the last 3 or 4 weeks have been, literally. Do you remember like about 3 weeks ago, it was a Thursday, I remember, and it was kind of like, we're looking at the forecast. It's calling for rain every day until next Tuesday.
Yes, and that's kind
of
it
didn't rain once.
Yeah, they got a new word for that. It's called summer.
No, but I mean, there's obviously what's at work here is that if you are in the weather prognostication business, which we all know is kind of like whatever, if you have like with a straight face calling yourself a climatologist or whatever the fuck you are, I think that the ethos of this job is like, you make a shitty prediction and the weather turns out okay and everybody's happy. If you make a great prediction and the weather turns out shitty, you catch a lot of crap.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I think they just do that. I think that's just what they do, and the Doppler 3000 is obviously not better than the Doppler 2000.
No, and AI obviously is not helping with weather forecasts. They've been at it, like in Boulder, Colorado. They got NCAR up on the mountain there. That National Center for Atmospheric Research, and it's like, okay, we have supercomputers. And my favorite story is that the NOAA, not the ARC guy, but the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric.
Who was real, by the way. The ARC thing was real.
Absolutely. Well, so the government, they spent like billions on this amazing computer and this amazing building. This is like a long time ago. It was like 20 years ago. And they're like, okay, we got this amazing weather prediction computer. It's going to analyze on a local level, and it's going to create a composite image, and we're going to be able to predict weather so much better. And then like the day after they inaugurated the building, the machine said, don't worry, this snowstorm is going to be flurries. And it was like 2.5 feet of snow on DC on the roof of the building, and it shut the federal government down for like 4 days.
And that was the only good thing about it.
Exactly. Only 4 days.
No, but I mean, it's funny because in Rowayton, there was, pardon the expression, a perfect storm of stuff that was like, it bordered on slapstick. Yeah. So there's a company called Pyrotechnics, and they have the barge that does the Gold Coast of Fairfield County.
All right,
the barge, singular.
It's called Pyrotechnics. Isn't it some like the Mario, like Super Mario Brothers?
No, the Gucci's are like in New York. The Gucci, And by the way, one thing you'll notice, you go to the Gucci's barbecue, when you shake hands, nobody seems to have 5 fingers on the hand you're shaking, But they, so
they're rich.
these folks, they literally have the barge, So obviously, if it's like Darien this night, then it's Stamford the next night, and then it's Norwalk, and then it's Rowayton, which are 2 different entities. Well, this year, and they make the call because they should make the call. They're in a freaking metal barge in the middle of the Sound, and if they don't feel comfortable and a stray lightning bolt hits that, you're going to see a light show like you've never seen before, and you're not going to really enjoy it that much, So I have no issue with them making the call. So they make the call for Rowayton. It was supposed to be on Sunday, and they bag it for that. And then Norwalk, the next night, they bag it on their own, it was next night, or it was the next night. They bag it on their own, which creates the problem with the whole thing, which I saw like when they first told me the whole schedule, I was just like, wait a minute. Norwalk and Rowayton have the same rain date? What if they both get rained out? Well, they did. And what happens is, you're going to defer to Norwalk because it's calf pasture, which is humongous, and
Right.
and Rowayton's tiny, and it's like, that's the way it goes. But it's like, we didn't have fireworks. They tried to do a thing with the bands, and it worked out okay, and whatever. But it's just kind of like, and then, Norwalk seemed to be the most prescient of anyone because they canceled their thing, and then last night they had great weather. They had their fireworks, great. But by the time the fourth,
I saw the Portchester fireworks this year.
Well, by the time the fourth ran around, I was so done with with the 4th of July, and it was only the 4th. Like it wasn't like it was like on the 6th. I've had enough. And then next year, I'm assuming it's either on a Wednesday. It was on a Tuesday this year. It's either on a Wednesday or a Thursday, possibly.
Is that how that works? I never really.
Almost always. Yeah. Usually it's one day, but sometimes there's like leap years or I don't know what. Or
yeah, I played in a band in Portchester, like 10 feet from the Portchester fireworks, and
wow.
At a private house, like not for Portchester. No, I'm sorry, Rye Brook. It's Rye Brook.
Right, sure.
It's not Portchester, it's Rye Brook because you could sell it for more money. Yeah, so I played at this thing it was like fire chiefs putting on a party for the firemen, whatever.
Right.
Good food, and I played in this band, but I looked at the radar like, what a pain in the ass I am, because like I look at the radar and I look at I'm calling the band leader and I'm like, I don't know, like it looks like it's gonna rain. Do they have enough of a tent? So he contacts them and they put up an additional tent with sides, and like they make a huge deal out of it, whatever. And then we get there and I'm like, thank God, because look at the radar. It's right here. It's giant and it's red and orange and it's coming directly at the party. It is gonna pour during our first set, and we're looking at it, and guess what? Not a drop of rain.
Yeah, no. I mean,
it was fun.
This has been, I mean, honestly, it rained 2 nights ago. Decent, like thunder, lightning, and decent rain. How do I know it's decent? Because there were 2 puddles at the beach. Like it wasn't like crazy, but it definitely it rained. But we haven't had any, despite all of these forecasts. We haven't had any rain this summer.
It's like California. It's like, yeah, we're flooding, but we also have a drought.
Well, it's like sometimes, you get the flooding because of the drought. If you get a little, like out in Utah, I think we talked about this, you're in some arroyo, and if it freaking rains a bit, you get yourself in a flood, it's weird.
Cool. But, so play some music for us, would you?
I'd like to play a song by Tom Waits.
Oh, I heard of that guy. I love him now, by the way.
Well, this will change that. We gassed her up behind the wheel, with your arm around your sweet one in her Oldsmobile, barreling down the boulevard, looking for the heart of a Saturday night. You get paid on Friday, your pockets are jingling, you see the light, you get all tingling, you're cruising with a 6, looking for the heart of a Saturday night. Then you comb your hair, you shave your face, trying to wipe out every trace of all the day in the week. You know this'll be the Saturday you're reaching your peak. Stopping on the red, you're going on the green, 'cause tonight'll be like nothing you've ever seen. You're barreling down the boulevard, looking for the heart of a Saturday night. Is it the crack of the pool balls, neon buzzing, telephone ringing? It's your second cousin. Is the barmaid that's smiling from the corner of her eye? Magic of the melancholy tear in your eye makes you kind of quiver down in the core. You're dreaming of them Saturdays that came before. Now you're stumbling for the heart of a Saturday night. You get stirred up behind the wheel, warm around your sweet one in your Oldsmobile, bearing down the boulevard, thinking about the heart of a Saturday night. Is it the crack of the pool balls, the neon buzzing, the telephone ringing? It's your second cousin. The barmaid is smiling from the corner of her eye. Magic of the melancholy tear in her eye. Stopping on the red, you're going on the green, 'cause tonight will be like nothing you ever seen. Barreling down the highway, looking for the heart of a Saturday night. You're barreling down the highway, looking for heart of the Saturday night. Yeah. Yo.
Very nice. Very nice.
Wow, is it just us tonight?
No,
No.
we got these guys. They're joining us too.
Hey there. Hey there. Hi there. Ho there.
Hey,
Oh,
David. You're muted.
Easy.
But hey, Frank.
Hey.
You're muted, Dave. I can't hear you. Did I mute you?
There he is.
There he is.
Love that
Hey,
song, by the way, Bill. Love that song.
Yeah, that is a good song. That's Tom Waits, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go
My
again.
favorite now.
Tom's got a million of them. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is today your anniversary, Dave?
Yes, it is.
Happy
Congratulations.
anniversary.
Yes, thank you very much. And I just wanted to get on here a little bit until it's time to jump out and get a bite to eat.
That's exciting.
You got to go put that
little,
Magnum PI mustache back on.
What are you gonna go have?
You know,
I love that picture. I'm like, who is that guy? Is that like
Frank-
Arno
well,
Montalban?
Frank made me laugh because, I didn't think about that. I know.
Seriously, I looked at the picture. I'm like, who is that? Who is
Who
that
the hell
guy
is
with the
that, right?
mustache? And I'm
I
like,
hear you,
oh,
Ed.
I know him.
A while back, my
while
wife did a similar thing to me for my birthday, and she showed an old license picture, and then she did like a side by side of my old license picture, Inigo Montoya,
Right.
and Carlos Santana from Woodstock.
There you go.
Nice.
And
These
you
are good company.
I've had people say to me recently, like, I'd like to see what you look like without a beard. I've never seen you without a beard. So I posted pictures of like me without a beard, and they're like, never do that again. Like, never shave your
put it back. Put it back.
Like that's like the cruelest cut of all, like when you shave the beard. I like you better with the beard. It's like, bro, okay,
I actually grew my beard out of laziness. I was living on a boat a long time ago, and it was just a pain in the ass to have to shave on the boat, so I was like, it was a small boat. It was like a 30-foot boat, sailboat. And I was like, yeah, I'll just let it grow a little while. And then people are like, oh, you have a beard. You're growing a beard. You look like the guy on Miami Vice. I'm like, okay, then,
All right. Well, that settled that.
And then I shaved it. People are like, no, don't ever.
Whatever's going on there, we need to kind of just cover that a little.
Well, you know what it is? It's like, it doesn't change the shape of your face. It doesn't really change it. And then you like look at a picture, you're like, God, who is that? Oh my God. So nice mustache, dude.
I was talking to this buddy of mine, and we were talking about like flying, and this guy's a real world traveler. And right now he's building a house in Brazil, and so he's going, back and forth. He literally has to smuggle the American money into Brazil. Like he has to smuggle it because even though he's legitimately building a house, his wife was Brazilian, even though it's all on the up and up, he has to do that. We were talking about flying, and we both got strip searched in Seattle. And I was coming back from Thailand visiting him, and I assume maybe he was coming back from Thailand, but he also lived in Indonesia, so I don't know. But it's like I look at my passport at the time. I so looked like a drug dealer. I almost looked like it was just like friggin', all right, get me the drug dealer guy, get me that guy. I totally, in a way, I kind of understood why they did it, but it was like both of us, and in Seattle, I don't know.
Seattle, they just want to do that. Was it a guy or
cartel minion number 4? In other words.
Yeah, right. Well, he said that the guys told him he just hit a number. It's like you're the 23rd guy, and that's what we did. With me, I think they thought I had something going on, and there's nothing like greater than when you have done nothing wrong, and then you can sort of jerk them around a little,
Ooh, you be careful.
Oh, I don't know.
That always ends well.
They'll get you.
That
no
always
sense
ends
of humor.
well. Yeah.
Honestly, though, it's kind of like, really, isn't Pablo Escobar doing something today right now that you could really be more
That's it. No, I went to the Canadian border. I go to Canada sometime. I was at the Canadian border. This is now before the pandemic. And I show up at the border, and the guy, it's okay. So it's late at night. I'm taking the ferry early in the morning. I'm getting the motel, whatever. And so it's like no one at the border. There's this giant brand new border facility, and in the middle of nowhere in Maine. And I'm crossing over into New Brunswick, and I'm in this huge hall. He gets me out of the car. He wants me to come inside. I'm like, okay, he was nobody in sight. It's him and me, and we're there. And he asked me a couple of questions, and he says, okay, unlock your phone and hand it to me.
No.
I said, what now? He said, unlock your phone. Like, he got mad, and I was like, what's happening? So I unlocked my phone and I hand it to him, and he goes in the back room for 45 minutes.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
This is in Canada?
This is the Canadian, welcome to Canada guys, right?
Wow.
And so he comes down, and I'm feeling pretty violated because your phone, you could go buy stuff, and you could go, you could check on my password, you log into everything and my bank statements and whatever. And
photos of those Indonesian hookers.
Exactly. There you go. Well, so what he did was he said, when he was done, and I said, am I free to go? And you're done. And thank you for your time. But I said, can I ask you a question? Right. And he's like, yes. And I said, do I have to change all my passwords now? I don't know what you were into. We don't know each other or whatever. And he goes, this is what we do. We go through all your photos. I got thousands of photos on my phone. We go through all your photos. We go through your email, and we search your email and your social media, whatever, for keywords like marijuana or skipping town or anything like child pornography and human trafficking and whatever. And they search for these things to see if they can uncover some dirt on you.
Well, I say that brings our neighbors to the north, who I have great love for, that brings them down considerably in my estimation. They don't have they can't do that to you in the U.S., but they I'm not sure they can do that to you in Canada. I think it was a slow night at the border.
No, you know what it was? Trump was president, and Trump was like, and Canadians are a bunch of jerks, and this and that, right? And Trudeau is a
that could have been a quid pro
boy.
quo.
So they were retaliating. That's what they were doing.
And Trudeau, remember the great state dinner where Ivanka's eyeballing Trudeau like he's the Christmas ham. He's she's looking at him
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's what it was. They retaliate. Like the U.S. First of all, I have a lot of European friends, and they're like, we are never coming back to the U.S. They've said this for years because we get treated like dogs and animals at the airport. They treat them like they're all just the worst. Horrible. And so the Canadians are like, you know what? You're going to do that to our guys. We're going to do that to you. Have a nice day.
Right.
Payback.
They didn't strip search me. I've never had the pleasure.
I don't care what they do. I'm still not going to like Rush. I don't care.
No.
All right, do another song, Bill Norman. Come on.
Right, does this have any sort of a Canadian twist to it? I think it does not. But this is from the
Blame Canada.
from the great band that has been often lost in the history of country rock and all that. The band Poco, which they just don't get enough credit, and I'm not sure they're even in the freaking Hall of Fame. They should be, but this is a song that was a Buffalo Springfield song, but written by probably Richie Furay or something. I got a good reason for loving you. It's an old-fashioned sign. I kinda get the feeling like you know when I fell in love for the first time. Kind woman, won't you love me tonight? The look in your eyes, kind woman, won't you leave me tonight? Please say it's alright. Remember once before, hearing the old folks say, love's an ageless old pride. But now and though you know this ain't depends so much on the kind of woman you find. Kind woman, won't you love me tonight? The look in your eyes, kind woman, don't you leave me tonight. You say it's alright. Kind woman, won't you love me tonight? Say it's alright.
Very nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Thank you. It's a great song.
So have you given up on the harmony pedal for right now? Or are you still fixing?
No, you know, I've got like a solo gig coming up, and I forget which one it is, but I'm gonna trot it out for that, you know, and just sort of learn before I do it, just learn how to just, you know, use it discreetly and just sort of, you know, step on it on the choruses and that kind of thing, you know, just sort of.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I just Randy Stone or not, I don't, you know, like to me, you know, no, but I think, you know, I think Randy had some good points, and you know, it's just, to me, it's just kind of like, I don't want to, you know, I'm sort of happy enough with the simplicity of what I do, but yeah. I don't mind having that thing too. But you know, the funny thing is, and I mean, maybe you can tell me, you know, confirm this. You know, it's it's very difficult. It's very incumbent on your lead vocal to be right on the money, because
Yeah.
the harmony is reacting to the guitar.
Oh yeah, it
Wait,
does
doesn't it
exactly what the
pitch correct?
fuck you do. Yeah.
No, I don't think it corrects. Does it correct, Frank?
It depends on the model. Like the one
Yeah.
that I have has a certain degree of pitch correction that you can turn in, but at that point you start to sound like Nelly. You know what I mean? So there's a line. You know, there's a DMZ where you can't really cross into that, the old
Right,
forbidden zone.
right.
But
The
you know what I mean?
audience is like, all three of those guys suck
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
harmony.
No. That thing will do an exact third or exact, under or over whatever note you hit, regardless of whether or not it's a good note. It'll, So,
But
I auto tune it in like bang,
But the crazy thing is, it's keyed off the guitar. So the guitar is in tune. The two voices or one voice singing with the guitar are in tune, and you got to be in tune. And I mean, tune. Sometimes in harmony, like in horn charts or anything else, like I don't mind a little dissonance. I don't mind like a little edge there, because I feel like it makes it sound cool.
absolutely.
But I'm not, I have to figure out whether that applies here or whether it just sounds like, wow, the background singers are awesome, but the lead guy, he sucks. So
Yeah, the main thing that I found with it, and what I would recommend that you do with it, Bill, is not so much test it in the wild, but actually do some stuff where you record at home and listen to the playback and figure out where it is. Like what I've discovered with mine is, for the most part, it works pretty well. But I found certain songs, when I get to a D chord, if I don't hit a certain note that is independent of whatever the melody of the song is, if I don't hit the right melodic note
And it's like
that fucker likes,
a touch tone
it's
phone.
it just it does some weird shit on you. And it's like, well, I'm singing the right note for the melody. That thing doesn't care. It wants a certain range on certain chords, and you just have to figure out what the sweet spot is for that pedal. And once you do that, I mean, it's like anything else, man. It's like throwing cayenne pepper into a dish. I mean, you put it in the right spot, it's going to make a nice impact.
Right.
But if you slather cayenne pepper all over fucking everything all the time, not so much.
Yeah, but I can't wait for Christmas like 2024 or 2025, because now all the stuff is going to have AI in it. Like they're going to have boxes out where you're like, have another musician on your gig, and you'll just play and it'll listen to what you're playing and play tasty little leads and horns, and I can't wait.
I can.
I'm not going there. I don't give a shit.
I have a hard enough time keeping up with other humans. Now I've got to deal with it. Whenever I play chess, like the video games, I always had to put it on asshole easy mode.
It doesn't need you. It just needs you to take it to the gig and plug it in, and then you can go drink at the bar. It'll just.
All I know is an Atari 2600 made me look very stupid when I was 15. And I don't need help looking stupid.
There it is.
All right.
There it is.
So,
can you imagine plugging your theremin into one of those? Like you plug your theremin in and you're trying to sing with harmonies while doing the theremin, and it's trying to track.
Well, if it's reading off the theremin,
there it is. Yeah, that wouldn't end badly at all. Running a harmonizer pedal into a theremin. That would not.
It's peculiar. It's peculiar for sure.
It would be bad vibrations.
Quintessence, I think, is the name of it.
How you doing, Lorenz?
Hey guys.
Hi. I was loving this
How are you?
chorus pedal discussion. This is fun. I have tried a chorus pedal with theremins, and it's makes a good Hawaiian guitar,
Oh yeah, right.
If I have to, I'm due for a collaboration with somebody who's an expert ukulele player to do Aloha Oi, but for some reason, when I learned the tune, in my childhood, because you've heard it like forever everywhere, I start on the wrong two notes. One note down from where it's supposed to be, and I have been trying to unlearn that for like a year and a half, and I have not. The time I start with the right notes. Anyway, chorus pedal. I know it, man.
How do you even on a theremin, if you're playing with somebody else? How do you even come in on the right note? Do you just you scoop into it like whoop until you hear it?
Fair point. Well, it depends on how professional you need to be and stuff. I haven't ever had to be super professional, but the pros, Rob Schwimmer playing with the Mark Morris dance company Pepperland.
Right.
He's got a thing in his ear called Pitch Preview, and it's a really nice circuit. He's been playing Hobbs with the Pitch Preview. The circuit gives you a nice tone. You can adjust the volume on the bottom of the thing for preview volume. And as you start to increase the volume or enable the volume on the theremin, that cuts out so that you can hear what you're actually playing. So that stops.
Right,
It's a really nice.
Like a cue mode. Okay.
He's
fair
got
enough.
he's
Clever,
only got 17 cue points in this whole production. It's an hour and a half. Fantastic. Oh, he does an amazing job with these Beatles tunes. It's Pepperland's based on Sgt. Pepper's. Day in the Life.
Right.
Yeah, it kicks ass on that. Anyway, not a chorus pedal, but
There must be a huge temptation to like use technology, to use auto tune, and I know the Theramini has like an auto tune circuit in it, but like
it depends on what you're doing. Because actually, I think you really all this MIDI stuff you were doing here live with us,
right,
is that's clearly quantized, but it was very effective, I thought.
right.
I've seen a couple other people use the Theraminis, especially the CV out on stuff. A couple of people using MIDI and controlling stuff, but one way or another, that ends up being quantized for most of people's applications. But
there's just got to be a temptation. Like singers, I don't know a record out there now where they're not using auto tune and they're not using Melodyne and fixing vocals and all that.
Well, I think there's a lot of records out there where they don't, but I don't think they're ones that are popular.
The thing about playing a theremin, though, you have to try. You have to. I'm not saying I can exactly hit a pitch. I can't even read music. Not very well. It takes me a half hour to get through a
but
line.
if you develop your ear and you can go, okay, I hear the other instrument, the bass or whatever, doing when I'm playing keyboards in a band, I tend to lock in with the bass player because it's a prominent one monophonic note. Like guitar player, I might not necessarily pick up what chord they're doing, but at least with the bass, and I can go, okay, that's that note. And I'll
careful. It's like Candyman. If you say that word one more time, he's going to show up.
Right, exactly. And I'll do a glissando.
Ixnay on the ace bay word.
That's right. And I'll on the Hammond organ, you do these these glissandos, and you I'll do that until it's that note. And then I'm like, okay, I got that note, and I got the octave, and there's the fifth, and then I'm like, okay, I'm all right. And I'm like, is it major or minor? And then I got that note, and I got okay, now I figured out where I am just by using my ear. And I guess you have to develop that on the theremin in a huge way.
Yeah, absolutely. Every note, you have two references, but there should be at least be one in your head. Like Lydia Commodore says, first, you must have the note in your head.
The voice in your head.
Yeah, and then
I've had that for years.
You don't know if you're playing the right note if you don't have the note in your head. So,
right.
And you've got to also hear what everybody else is doing if you're trying to play along with something. Which more and more, I'm really trying to do that because it's good discipline. Just playing freestyle is a lot of fun, and that's a lot of time I'm just playing a tune. If you see me at Porch Fest, most of my stuff will be solo, just the theremin. 26th August.
I'm there.
50 Beacon Street.
I'm playing that day. So do you know what time you're playing?
Noon.
Okay. I don't know what time I'm playing, but I'll find out.
I got to find yours. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Do another song for us, would you please? We're getting way into the theremin program now.
Yeah.
I should.
I'd like to hear Bill. Yeah.
Okay.
I segued from the.
I'll toss this out to the crowd and any one of you who may be a robot or some sort of AI thing. I got.
What you mean?
Richard Thompson, Sting, Hank Williams, or Steely Dan.
I thought you meant all together in a band.
No, but you want to hear the funniest thing I just saw online? is the Eagles are doing their final tour and they're having
Again?
Steve McMahon open for them. And it cracks me up that, like, either Donald Fagen is either like spinning in his grave along, rather Walter Becker is spinning in his grave, like, turn up the Eagles, the neighbors are listening, like, and they come back with it. They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't see it. And they end up like on the same tour. Like, I think that's pretty funny.
It's pretty ironic. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
people too hip for the room got to eat too.
Do
I
some
guess.
sting. Do some sting.
Yeah, because God knows that the Eagles haven't made any money.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, poor Don. They should really do a GoFundMe for that guy.
Not everybody made money. Yes,
Well,
at least some people think they didn't make money. Did you say Sting? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
There's a little black spot in the sun today. It's the same old thing as yesterday. There's a black cat caught in the high tree top. There's a flagpole rag on the wind won't stop. I have stood here before and got the pouring rain, with a back in circles running round my brain. And guess I'm hoping for the end of this rain. It's my destiny to be the king of pain. There's a black cloud on the sun today. It's my soul up there. It's the same old thing as yesterday. That's my soul up there. There's a black hat caught in the high tree top. Stole up there. There's a flagpole rag and the wind won't stop. That's my soul up there. I've stood here before and tied the pouring rain, and the world turning circles running round my brain. Guess I'm hoping that you'll end the rain. It's my destiny to be the king of pain. There's a fossil that's trapped in a high cliff wall. That's my soul up there. There's a dead sand frozen in a waterfall. That's my soul up there. There's a blue whale beached in the springtime's edge. That's my soul up there. There's a butterfly trapped in the spider's web. That's my soul up there. Well, I have stood here before and died the pouring rain, when the world turning circles running round my brain. Yes, I'm hoping that you'll end this rain. It's my destiny to be the king of pain. There's a king on a throne with his eyes torn out. There's a poor man looking for a shadow of doubt. There's a rich man stepping on the golden bed. There's a self-condemned choking on the crust of bread. This is where I would like to loop so I could play a solo. There's a red fox torn by a huntsman's pack. It's my soul up there. There's a black-winged gull with a broken back. That's my soul up there. There's a little spot on the sun today. It's the same old thing, it's yesterday. I I've stood here before inside the pouring rain with the world turning circles running round my brain. I guess I'm hoping that you'll end this rain. It's my destiny to be the king of pain. King of pain, I'll always be king of pain. I'll always be king of pain. I'll always be king of pain. Thank you.
I'll get it.
Please turn your cell phones off during my performance. And no photos, please.
That was nice. I like Sting. I'm mad at Sting, because I was a big Police fan when I was in high school. Whatever, Police was super hot back then, and I was a major fan. And I'm like, Sting broke up my favorite band they didn't break up after they sucked. Like, they're not like, all right, like we've done our 90th album, we should have stopped after 2, and we're just milking it. They're like, Sting was like, great, we're here, and I'm gonna go out on my own because I'm awesome. And the Police were cooler than just Sting. Like, those other two guys,
I'm not sure about that, but okay.
I don't know. So Stuart Copeland,
friggin' Branford Marsalis in his band, and
no. I don't.
Manu Pache.
Got it. He had a great. No. I'm not. No.
Well, that's not what I meant. It's not like he couldn't afford it.
The Police are better than Sting. I meant Sting did amazing stuff, like when he went on. But the other three, each guy in the group, like Tiffany, right? Like, she was the best thing about the band, Tiffany. Like, who cares about all the other idiots in Tiffany, right? Or Pia Zadora. Like, it was Pia Zadora. Who cares?
How much is Tiffany paying you to get her name on the
There you
internet?
go, right? But Sting, those three guys, brought, it was a mix of cool shit that was happening that made the Police.
Yeah, the other two guys were monsters. I mean,
it was gone. It was gone. We're not going to do any more of that. Like, come on, really? I like the band, So.
I like, Andy Summers has, he has a stretch on his fingers that was amazing. And I always liked Stuart Copeland. I like the way he played, but Stuart Copeland is the thing, I think, where Stuart Copeland and Sting, that's where the real friction was. I think that
they're still mad at each other. Like, Stuart Copeland, I saw a video on YouTube that they're pushing to me. Now this is all I'm going to get because I just said this, but Stuart Copeland's got a video, and the headline, I have not watched it. I resisted the temptation. The headline is Sting was arrogant from birth.
Right.
I on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen little shorts of that actually, where just him and Sting are just going at each other. Just the knives are out, and Andy Summers is just standing over the side like, can we just play music?
Yeah, I'm gonna lose my gig over this shit.
But
that was fun.
I saw another Stuart Copeland thing recently online, and I didn't really pay attention whether it was recent or from a different time. And he said kind of just the opposite. And then I saw a picture today on Facebook of the three of them on bicycles, obviously present day, and referencing some sort of a gig they have. And that Sting is insisting that everybody rides bikes to the gig, but it looks like it's current. And I don't know if they're doing a one-off or whatever. And it's up to Sting really. If he wants to do it, he'll do it. I mean, believe me, the other guys would. I'm pretty sure they would do whatever. But
Sting looks to me like he's like an alien or something, because he's like Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner. So he's just like an alien. He's not even from
He's
Earth.
like Sting in Dune, actually.
He's like Sting in Dune.
With the winged underwear. Yeah, perfect.
That guy, but he,
I mean, I saw that band, the Blue Turtles band, his first solo album. I saw him at Radio City, and it was a I don't know if you can call it like a quantum leap into something, but it was definitely a different kind of presentation musically of stuff, And it's like at a certain point in time, I don't know that you can push the punky thing, you know, forever and ever and ever. And it's like a lot of the songs, like King of Pain, that was a Police song,
Right.
you know, and Wrapped Around Your Finger, that was a Police song, you know, but they were really Sting songs. But did they fit the character of the band? It's hard to say, you know. And then they'd have like that one random on like Synchronicity too. They'd have like the one random cut by, you know, the other guys in the band, like, you know, Comrade Shevchenko or whatever. There were a couple.
Well, their musical style and their approach to the music, I just love, like Stuart Copeland, like who plays drums like that, where you can immediately he just hits one thing like and you're like, that's Stuart Copeland. I know that.
I loved his snare sound. His snare sound
Absolutely.
was so snappy.
Yes,
man.
amazing drummer. And to your point, Bill, I mean, you know, most bands, when they choose to, will evolve. I mean, if you listen to, I mean, just to take, for an instance, a band that you despise. If you take the first Rush record and the last Rush record,
He hates Rush. What?
those are completely different. Well, he was mocking Rush before. Maybe it was just the mocking of Canada. But
I don't love Rush. I'll say that. You know.
Rush is like Guinness. It's an acquired taste. You either like it or you
I
don't.
love Guinness.
It's, you know. So, but
Can't go wrong.
my point being, it's like, you know, that band made a number of different steps and molded themselves to what they felt was their artistic vision at the time. You know, to look at it from a commercial perspective, look at what Madonna did. She reinvented herself into whatever the current pop lexicon was about 6 or 7 times, which is about 5 or 6 times more than most people can manage to fucking do that.
Right. Most people have like 2 or 3 good songs in them, and then they just do other stuff that's like reminiscent of it.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the coin, you got bands like Leonard Skinner or AC/DC, where you could take a song off the first album, take a song from the last album, and swap them, and nobody would know the fucking difference.
Right.
You know, and but again, that's a niche. They found what works. They have a clientele for that particular product, and they sell that product until they all drop dead. Hey,
Right.
you know,
I mean, you know, the thing with Police is he wrote all the songs. You know, he basically wrote all the songs, and
Sting wrote the songs. That's how it went?
yeah, he wrote the songs, and you know, it's kind of like when the band was having troubles, and Levon Helm was like, you know, had a vendetta with Robbie Robertson. The bottom line is Robbie wrote all the fucking songs, and it's like, you know, Levon would take the position that a lot of what happened in rehearsal in order to bring the thing to life, you know, creatively in recording, you know, it's a question like what's writing and what's arrangement and what's just whatever. Yeah. And, you know, there are a lot of guys, and we might have had this discussion on this before, you know, Al Cooper didn't ask for a piece of the writing on Like a Rolling Stone, but that freaking organ part is monstrously huge to that
absolutely.
song. You know, the guy who played the sax part on Baker Street for Jerry Rafferty, he didn't ask for a piece of the action. You know, like there was some of this stuff is performance arrangement stuff, but I always drop it at their feet. They say, okay, well, if you were writing all this stuff, what are you writing now? Like, because Robbie Robertson's still writing songs, Sting is still writing songs. What are you writing? That's true.
I mean, you know, and not to cast stones, but I mean, I don't think Robbie Robertson came anywhere near the peak of a songwriting or a commercial success after those other guys ran out the door. So I think there's something definitely that could be said for the creative input and the sum being greater than the whole of the parts in certain creative instances. But no, you do actually make a great point with regards to that. There was another one along those lines. Actually, I saw. I don't mean to be like swatting at things. There's a bug that's around here that's just driving me batshit.
Acid
I
flashback.
agree with you. I agree totally with that.
Acid flashback.
But there was a documentary I saw a little while back about David Bowie and the Ziggy Stardust album, and about how all the guys on that album made a lot of major contributions to that album, and that album basically brought Bowie out to the fore, and then he just kind of shed that persona like a jacket and left those guys by the roadside.
Yeah.
And he was able to carry on. Obviously, he was a fantastically creative man, but those guys were kind of like, okay, you know,
right.
Not that there was any bad blood from what I understand, but there was definitely a case to be made where they helped bootstrap him up to get to a certain point.
Yeah, in most cases they kept working together. I mean, Mick Ronson and until he died. I mean, like there were a lot of those guys still worked with Bowie, but it's like, yeah, Robbie Robertson. I mean, to me, how do you hit the peak of the peak of the band, which to me is as peaky as anything gets. But it's like he didn't make shit songs after that. He had a lot of good albums after that and a lot of good songs. Not as good as Music from Big Pink and not as good as Stage Fright, not as good whatever. But still, he was still writing, and it's just always it's funny to me. I mean, I think Sting wanted to work with better musicians, and as great as the Police were, Manu Katché is a better drummer than Stuart Copeland is. I think he is. He's a different style. Well, he's like this monster world player who can play anything. He can play straight up jazz. He can play reggae. He can do whatever. I mean, all of the Police were great. I mean, it's
absolutely. But to that point also, I mean, there comes a certain point when in a creative person's arc where it's like, okay, so I want to try and do this to my vision, whereas when he would bring something to the Police, Stewart's going to do Stewart things.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly things. Right.
And whereas Sting would say, play this.
Yeah, along those lines, that's, I guess, what I'm saying about the Police is that the Sting records, I'm a big Sting fan. Like I bought all of his CDs and all that, but I never felt like it was a band. It wasn't a band. It was Sting and a bunch of crazy good world-class studio musicians, whereas the Police was a band. They could be messing around and it was awesome.
I mean, the Police had that advantage of coming from like the scuffling days and then reaching the complete height. But there's a great documentary about that first band of Stings and their woodshedding in this mansion in France. Yeah, and they're definitely a band. I mean, they're definitely doing what they do. They're not doing it in the studio. They're doing it for live performance. And I saw that band play at Radio City, and I mean, they could freaking play. And I mean, I know they could play because they're great musicians, but also that video, that
they could mesh.
It was a documentary, and it was really, it was similar to the way the Stones put together Exile on Main Street. They're in a chateau in France, and and they're working it out, and that's, like nobody, one of the reasons, isn't one of the reasons that the Beatles were so great is that they spent, 3 or 4 years living like dogs in Hamburg, living together like that, and just like, the toughness of, living together, sleeping in beds next to each other, shagging birds in beds next to each other, like, all of that shit. And, you come out of that, and I think the rest of it seemed like a freaking vacation. And you get something you're recording at Abbey Road or EMI, and and then you meet George Martin, and it's kind of like, and then you have a facilitator. You have somebody who helps you reach those and Jeffrey Emmerich and all those guys that the engineers, the producers, all of those guys that help them.
But like the Beatles is a great example because every Beatles song. If you've never heard the song and it comes on the radio and you've never heard it before and they don't say it's the Beatles, within one measure, it's the Beatles.
Right.
There's something about it. And the same with the Police. Like if they were like, we're going to play a mystery song and here it is, and and then there it is. That's the Police, clearly. Oh, yeah. And all the Sting songs were just amazingly polished and crafted and unbelievable, but I don't know who the guys are, and he did it with different groups of people over the years.
He has some long-term bandmates though, like some his guitarist Dominic Miller's been with him for 35 years. I mean, the Manu Katché has really been his drummer for a long time.
Right.
And before that, I think he had Vinny Colaiuta. I mean, these guys are like fucking gods.
But I know where I was going, right? So I was like, he reminded me of Rutger Hauer or something like this alien, amazing, superhuman genetic thing or whatever, Sting. But now I see pictures of him now. Look, I know we all get older, right? But I see Sting now. I'm like, I don't want to see old Sting. I don't want to see old Sting. I want to see young Rutger Hauer Sting.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer got old too, man. He got old.
Rutger Hauer got dead.
He got dead. He got old, then he got dead.
Yeah.
I want to see Blade Runner. I don't want to see old Sting. Like I
Yeah,
want to
well.
see old Betty Davis. I want to see
know what?
young, beautiful Betty Davis.
I saw old Robert Plant last weekend. It ain't so bad, man. It
Yeah,
really
okay.
ain't so
I
bad.
mean,
you saw him play.
he to me, Robert Plant is the guy to me that he is like the shining light of guys who don't want to live in the past. You know, he to me is the guy that his solo career has been so interesting, and you know the stuff he does with Alison Krauss is it's just awesome. They're just the blend, the whole thing. It's like, and you know him having Buddy Miller in his band, and like you know that's like a swing of the needle to a whole different direction than Jimmy Page. You know, it's like
Oh yeah.
and
And Stuart Duncan was the other guy that he had in the band when I just saw him. And Stuart Duncan is an assassin on about like 7 different instruments.
Right.
He's horrifying to watch play. And but yeah, so I was lucky enough to see him and Allison actually play over in upstate New York over the past weekend. Just an amazing
really cool.
show. And he can still rub some dirt on it. He can still get those Percy notes and things every now and again. He needs a little help from delay, but maybe a little bit more than he used to. But he could still hit those notes.
But I'll tell you, she's if you want to harmonize with somebody, she is a fabulous. Her voice is otherworldly.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like her than Emmylou Harris. I mean, just
she did a great version of an old country song with James Taylor. How's the world treating you? It's like. I used to sing that a lot with Holly McCreary, you know, and it's just such a good freaking song. And like, you know, it's just, and she sounds great with women too. I have a bunch of things with her playing with like Sean Colvin, and it's like, boy, they sound good together.
Yeah. The stuff they did off the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack with her and Emmylou Harris and God, I can't think of her name now. Shit. I know you know who I'm thinking.
Mary Chapin Carpenter, or
no, it wasn't Mary Chapin Carpenter. It was God damn it! It's gonna come to me after. You'll
get it. Yeah, but while you were talking, I had this image. Like, so there's this YouTube video of Robert Plant watching some like tribute to the band, and the president was there or whatever. And it's
hard. It's hard.
Yeah, the Kennedy Center thing. Yeah.
Right, and they're doing one of their songs, and they're doing a beautiful job, and he's like tearing up and watching. He's like, "Oh, it's so amazing!" And I also thought there's a YouTube clip of Sting being honored, and it was who the hell was it? Oh my
Bruno
God.
Mars.
No. Worse than
Lady Gaga.
No, it was. I just
Rufus Wainwright.
He used to come to Georgetown Saloon all the time. He had a band called Two Kids and a Blind Guy. It's holy God, not Julio Fernandez. Am I an idiot? It's
Jose Feliciano.
Jose Feliciano. Like, I don't know. I just saw his face, right? But he's doing a Sting tune.
Yeah.
And they keep cutting to Sting, and Sting is like, because he's doing.
I've seen that video, and it's
doing a weird job of it. You know,
Jose's not good on it. It's you know, but in that same thing, it's like I think that's his 60th birthday thing. Well, there's one thing where it's his 60th birthday. And he has like, you know, Robert Downey Jr. do Driven to Tears, which is pretty good. Lady Gaga does King of Pain, which is amazing.
Right.
And Stevie Wonder does Fragile. And like, you know, I think he played the harp on the original, but Stevie like sings it. And then he sings the next verse like up an octave. And like Sting is just like, oh my God, you know, and it's like when it's done, and Rufus Wainwright has a great thing in that. But he did one of those President's things, and Bruno Mars did Message in a Bottle and So Lonely. And then at the end of it, they brought out the cast from Sting's musical, the Broadway musical he had called The Last Ship.
Right.
Which I saw twice, I have to say. I saw it at workshop, and then I saw it for real. And it's like he loses it because like that thing, you know, went under. It wasn't a success. It might have been a success if he had stayed in it, you know.
Was he in it? He was in it.
He only came in it for a short period of time, just to sort of, you know, bring that to it. I love it. I love the music from it. I play one of the songs where one day I'll do it here, but it's like when they brought those people out, and it was a complete surprise to him, and it was just like that's a great moment, you know. It's like because he has this reputation of being like, oh, whatever, you know, like, you know, it's like the walking thesaurus, you know. But
Gillian Welch, by the way.
There it is.
Yeah,
I knew it would come to me.
Gillian Welch is so great. David Rawlings and Gillian Welch, that's like crazy.
Yeah.
Hey
Great
guys,
stuff. Amen.
Dennis,
how's it going?
good. How you doing?
Good. You can hear me okay, or is it too hot?
Oh yeah, we can hear you. You sound good.
Okay.
Right there.
You sound
So,
good.
but yeah, and I was lucky enough to see Allison actually back in the '90s when she was playing with Union Station. I saw her a couple of times at Winterhawk Bluegrass Festival, and just
Awesome.
amazing vocalist. But yeah, so it was lucky enough to go see them play, and they did Battle of Evermore, and my
Funny.
daughter lost her effing mind because she's a complete Led Zeppelin nut. So all of that stuff, she's like, just the first note, she's like, boink,
Yep.
But you're right. It's like her and Emmylou. Like they just again have that
Yeah.
otherworldly thing that just comes in from somewhere else, and it's like,
Well,
oh,
it's something where it's like you don't realize they're there, and then they shut up, and then boom, and this chasm
Yeah.
opens up in the music.
yeah,
It's like I mean, David Crosby can do a similar thing.
Yeah.
Where he would be invisible until he shut up, and then you're like, what the hell just happened? It was
Yeah.
just one of those people that can do that.
yeah. He has a great song called Lee Shore, which is on one of their live albums, and it got vetoed off of being on Deja Vu. Like it could have been on that. But that's one that I was thinking, like, could the little harmonizer work on that thing? Could you actually do that? Because the harmonies are so good for that. I mean, anyway. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I know you guys have kind of moved on, but have you heard of Chickenfoot?
I have
Talking
heard.
about
Isn't
Copeland
that,
from-
Hey, yeah, what's
from the
chicken?
police.
isn't that the Robinson brothers or
No, it's
Chris Robinson?
Satriani on
Oh,
guitar
so we with Michael McDonald.
with
John Paul
Stuart
Jones.
Copeland on drums. Michael Anthony. No,
Oh,
the bass
From
player
Van
from
Halen.
Van Halen, yeah.
Oh no,
And
that's right.
Sammy
That's right.
Hagar.
Yeah, I was
There's
thinking the
version of-
John Paul Jones thing, them Crooked Vultures, which is a slightly
Yeah,
different.
that's a different one, but yeah, they do a version of Highway Star that's awesome. So, you're just talking about the drummer from the Police, and I thought, oh, you remember?
Right.
Well, the funny thing, I've told this story on the air before. I had a student, I teach electronic music in Bridgeport, and I had a student who wrote music that was very odd. Like it was really cool, but it was very strange music. And she used she would program everything through the computer keyboard on her laptop. Like she would play the notes and the drums on the computer keyboard with no velocity sensitivity. Just like, and it was amazing. Like to make these amazing productions. Her name was Tribal. She was super cool. And one day she did this thing, and it had this hi-hat work that sounded like Stuart Copeland. And I said to her, that reminds me. And she's like, okay, old guy, like you're some band you listened to back in the ancient times. And I'm like, so I'm telling her about the Police, and I'm telling her about whatever, Stuart Copeland. And we watch a YouTube video of Stuart Copeland talking about drums or whatever it was. And then she goes home, and she looked at the liner notes of a video game that she plays that inspired her to play that line, that hi-hat line. And the music was by Stuart Copeland on a video. She was influenced by Stuart Copeland. And
Okay, young know-it-all kid.
right. And she was like, you won't believe it. But because I said, like, who do you listen to? Who are you inspired by? Like, I have all these bands that I'm inspired by.
Yeah.
And, and from Ray Charles to Herbie Hancock to whatever. And she's like, I don't really listen to music. I'm like, you don't listen to music? She's like, no, I don't like Spotify. I don't like to listen to music, but I get all my inspiration from video games. And I'm like, what? Because
That's funny.
it's now Rogers and it's Stuart Copeland, and
Right.
all the old guys that we're talking about are all doing video games now.
And that's
Yeah,
where the
of
real
course.
money's at.
That's where the real money's at.
Drummer got to eat.
Exactly.
Give the drummer some.
Thank you. Throw up a bone, right?
Give the drummer stuff. It's funny you say that because like a couple weeks ago, what was that guy's name? Stubblefield?
Yeah.
The drummer, the funky drummer from James Brown's
Yep.
band was Jim.
Yeah.
Jim.
Maybe the most sampled drummer of all time. Maybe.
Right. Stubblefield is his name, right? And
Yeah.
and he I bought a library for like $20. I bought a library of loops of him playing that he recorded. I don't know when he did it, and it's amazing. And so I just sit at the Hammond organ and kick those loops off, and it's like this crazy, like this groove that it's got that nobody else has that. It's just recognizable.
Yeah, he was a monster.
But I love I guess it's a documentary called Standing in the Shadows of Motown, which is sort of a lot about James Jamerson, the bass player, but it's got the other guys in it. And at one point, it was like Benny Benjamin is one of the guys. There were like three drummers that were classics, and it's so funny. The one guy is getting interviewed, and he just does all of the pickup like lines from Motown songs that are just like so iconic. Like all you have to do is hear the drum pickup, and it's like boom, ba-ding, ding, and you're just like, oh shit, Roadrunner. That's the beginning of Roadrunner, like it's stuff like that, and they're so unusual. They're not like typical drum pickups, they're like really funny little, like that kind of stuff. What am I
like
hearing?
the intro for Ain't Too Proud to Beg. It sounds like an air traffic controller or something. I'm not sure.
What do we got here?
I think it's coming from David Robinson's mic. I don't know. You watching TV again? Hold on.
What's going on?
I don't know. Do you have some noise in the background or something happening?
You may hear family in the background.
That's what it is.
Is that what you're hearing? Are you hearing
yeah,
voices?
Either that or the voices in my head are getting
controller. Like,
very loud.
Okay, you guys.
Bring it down 501. You're way
We're
too
gonna break
high.
out in a riot.
501.
You're wrong with your house. You're on TV.
Oh,
You can tell him I'm sorry I'm loud. Your wife's loud.
do you hear my wife?
Happy anniversary.
Look,
Happy
here,
anniversary.
Here, get on before we. I guess
Tell her
we're
you're
ready.
clear to land with LAX. Got it.
Right here,
In there?
right here. You're in.
Happy
I'm
anniversary.
sorry I'm loud, but
No,
I'm
no.
Dave's
Anniversary.
wife. I have to be.
We're all loud
Dave's
here.
quiet.
That's
Don't
what happens.
worry.
Yeah, we're all the quiet
That's my
ones.
job. My job is to
Best
figure
day
out which of
ever.
the 5 people are like have something going on in the background.
Yeah, I'm talking to my daughter. So.
Good stuff. Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're gonna go have shrimp at Crab Shack.
Oh yeah,
Enjoy.
Oh yeah.
that's great.
We're there.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good.
All right, guys. Love you.
All right.
David,
Take it
good
easy,
to
man.
see you. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank
You
you.
go for the early bird special. It's only
Go
five
get 'em,
days.
Magnum.
Yes, the senior citizen.
He's going out at 4.
Tell
they don't have
TC
that.
we said hey, all right?
15% off. Hey.
All right, guys. Love you.
See you
Yes.
later.
See you, Dave.
Good stuff. Hey, Frank, do a song for us, would you?
Alrighty, sure. Hang on, let me.
You don't even have a guitar. You don't even have a
I
guitar.
have one. I was just.
Will Baird, who is probably watching, has a cough. And he's like, I can't be on the show because I'm coughing and coughing and coughing. And I'm like, you could mute it. Like, we could
You
laugh
think
when you
they
mute
catch
it,
it?
like coughing.
Yeah.
But apparently he's struggling with something. So he could
No
make
one.
it quick.
Don't want to fuck up his singing voice too. So.
It's all the smoke.
All right. So let's see. So I don't want to fight with the card carrying troubadour of the group here, but Troubadours of America, right? That's the group that you're part of there, Bill.
There it is.
Troubadour.
So this is one by a guy named Town Van Zant, and great story about this guy I heard from somewhere. I can't remember where. This guy literally would get a hobby out of fucking with managers of venues. And I think he was kind of on the spectrum before people like knew there was such a thing as a spectrum. And he would like literally wait until like a minute before they were going to push him out onto the stage. And he would find the club owner or whoever, and he would just, I don't know if I can do this anymore. It's just, and at that point, the guy would like rip his hair out and scream and run down, and Towns would just smile and walk out on the stage.
Great.
So this is an old classic one here. I'm going to give it a shot. It's been a while since I played it. And that disclaimer out of the way, here we go. Living on a road, my friend, is gonna keep you free and clean. Now you wear your skin like iron and your breath as hard as kerosene. Weren't your mama's only boy, but her favorite one it seemed. Began to cry when he said goodbye. sank into your dreams. Pancho was a bandit boy, horse as fast as polished steel. Wore his gun outside his pants for all the honest world to feel. Pancho met his match, you know, on the deserts down in Mexico. Nobody heard his dying word. That's the way it goes. All the federalists say could have had him any day. Only let him go so long. Out of kindness, I suppose. Lefty, he can't sing the blues all night long like he used to. The dusty Pancho pit down south ended up in Lefty's mouth. The day they laid poor Pancho low, Lefty split for Ohio, where he got the bread to go. There ain't nobody know. All the federalists say could have had him any day. Only let him go so long. Out of kindness, I suppose. Poets tell how Pancho fell, left his living in a cheap hotel. Desert's quiet, Cleveland's cold, so the story ends, we're told. Pancho needs your prayers, it's true. Save a few for left it too. Only did what he had to do. Now he's growing old. All the federalists say you could have had him any day. Only let him go so long. Out of kindness, I suppose. Few great federalists say could have had him any day. Only let him go so long. Out of kindness, I suppose. Lost my headphones. Thank you.
The
I
classic.
haven't heard that song since the mid '80s.
That's
We
a
used to play
classic.
that one, loved it.
So no, wait. So who is that?
That was Townes Van Zandt, singer songwriter from Texas in the
I don't
70s.
know why I
early
thought it was
80s.
like a Dire Straits derivative, or like, you know, like
No.
It's probably the other way around.
We-
It might be a Dire Straits, a derivative for Dire Straits, you know.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Mark
Yeah,
Knopfler
because
definitely knew who he was.
because
I would
maybe
wager.
I thought it was in Mark Knopfler too, because I did that song with I've done that song a ton of times playing accordion with Dave Hirsch, my friend Dave Hirsch, and
It's a classic. It's a big.
it took me a while. I was like, what song? Because you said it was somebody else, and I'm like, no, that can't be it. And then I was like, oh, I know that song. Like, how do I know? Like, it's in my fingers. I know that song.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's like Townes Van Zandt's like the guardian angel of guys like Steve Earle and
Yeah.
guys came out.
Robert
Steve Earle
Earl
named his
Keen.
son Justin Townes Earle, like
Yep.
after him.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
the
and-
patron saint of Texas guys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously the big hit version of that was Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard did a duet of it in about 1980.
Right.
89, something like that, when MTV was a big monstrous thing and they were paying millions of dollars to do music videos.
Right.
Think musicians could act and all of that good shit. So
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's definitely. And he was on The Sopranos too, right?
That's Ronnie Van
As a
Zant.
mosquito.
yeah. I saw what you did there. Very good. Very good. Well played.
So yeah, no, I really wasn't aware of that guy. So I'm gonna have to go to Spotify and binge listen to him.
Yeah, oh, he's got a
He's really-
bunch of great stuff.
Yeah, and he's like he's kind of like in this stratum of like a John Prine kind of thing, like except more specific to Texas, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was one of those guys. I don't think he ever made any monstrous living, and I don't really think he traveled very far outside of the borders of Texas.
All right.
And he was also he was an odd duck. I mean, he was definitely a weird guy. Like he lived like off the grid, like in a place with no running water and electricity.
I think it's great. I think it's great that he made his music, made it out there despite that.
Yeah.
He was famous in spite of himself. Just there were people out there that just heard his songs and they basically forced him into like doing stuff, and they would play his songs because he didn't give a shit.
Right.
He just wanted to just sit on the porch and get stoned and just play what felt good to him, and he didn't really give a shit who heard it.
That's
I
good.
don't think.
That's good. My happiness level goes up when I care less.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's always best when one barely gives a fuck. That's when the best creative kind of scope happens.
That's true. That's
Not
true.
thinking
I'm
too
gonna play a
hard
clip
about
a little later in the show. I was maybe you saw it on Facebook. I posted it a couple days ago. But I played with this band, right? And a guy in Greenwich, and he's well known around Greenwich and whatever. His drummer's decent, and it's a bass player I know, real nice guy. From Hot Rubber Monkey Band, and I got pulled in with these guys, and we really haven't played much together, but whatever. So, but it's like your typical like cover band, whatever. It's fun, it's good, and we got gigs, and it's all fine. But at one point, I think the guitar player just like broke a string or something. He had to like re-string his guitar, and we all just sort of looked at each other. We're like, let's just start. Like somebody started playing something, and we did like I don't know, maybe 12-minute piece of music, and about 5 minutes in, somebody was like, "Ooh, this is pretty good." It's nothing like anything else the band does, but it's like this funky jazzy jam, like an organ trio. I'm playing Hammond organ, and these guys are playing. I'm going to play that later in the show, but it's like when you just don't care. You're not trying to like hit the chords or the notes or whatever. It's kind of fun what comes out of you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's
Organically.
one of the greatest things. I mean, I think I told that story here where we were playing a gig one time, and the crowd just did not give a damn. We played every crowd pleaser that we could think of, and they just were completely set on who was going to score next in whatever big game was on.
Right.
And we just turned our back on the crowd, and we played in memory of Elizabeth Reed for like 15 minutes, and had a ball. And
right.
And same thing, and turned around a couple of times, like, okay, a couple of heads are kind of, and finished the song up, bum ba da da pop. They scored. I mean, just nothing, just completely fucking nothing. It's not
I was playing at the Black Duck, and I would always play in the corner by that door, like the door, not the main
the
door.
door to the chairs.
The door to the emergency door, or whatever. I would always sit I would sit in that corner blocking the door or whatever, and until the fire marshal came, and then I had to move. But I was sitting there, and one day I did this solo that was like heartfelt. Like sometimes you're just going through the motions and you getting it out, and it's fine and whatever. But I played this solo that was like, I'm like sweating. It was so good, right? I played this solo, and I get to the end of the solo, and the crowd goes, "Yeah!" They go, and I'm like, "Yeah!" And then I realized the TV with the game was over my head. They were cheering some home run or whatever it was.
Yep. I had one of those the other night, actually, the night of the NFL draft. I'm playing something, and all of a sudden the crowd's like, "Wow, am I really?" Oh, fuck no! Somebody just got picked by Notre Dame.
Fake out! What a fake out that was.
We were playing up in Wyoming one time, and Wyoming University, I don't know which one it was in the NCAA Final Four, And so we got up to play, and the TV's right up above us, like you said. So we start playing. The owner comes up and goes, "I'll pay you anyway. Sit down." So we went and had a beer and watched the football game with them.
There it is. There it is.
I
Fun,
used
fun.
to play at this bar. So my first experience in like I played one gig with a band, and then I joined a band that it came together. It was a weird thing. It's the first band I ever played with, and I played with them for many years after that in Colorado. And we played at you might even know this place, Bill Nolan. It was called Main Street, and it was in Denver. And it was a big club. It was like a Toad's Place kind of place,
Right.
Main Street. And we had no business playing there because we didn't have a band. There was no band. And one of the, I guess it was the singer, or no, the guitar player, my friend Ross in Colorado, I'd go on motorcycle trips with. He said he got a call from an agent, and he said, "Hey, do you still have a band?" He went, "Sure." And he goes, "Well, there's a cancellation at Main Street in Denver, and they're in a pinch for a band, and it's like a week away or whatever it was." And he's like, "Sure, we'll do it." And he says, "Well, I want to come out and hear your band, make sure you're going to fit, because I'm going to sell you to the venue." And he was an agent, one-armed Dave. He had one arm. And he came to the, we'd never played together before. He recruited this band, and he said, all we have to do is learn the beginning and middle of 3 songs, and then we can figure out the rest between now and the gig, right? And the gig was like in a week, or maybe it was 2 weeks. And we learned the beginning and middle of a bunch of songs, and so that when the agent came, we could play for the agent. And so we get the gig. And there's other stories about this gig. We had no business playing at this club, but the reason I brought it up is that the club's strategy was they had a huge upstairs and a huge downstairs. And upstairs was Bronco football, right? So they would play Bronco football until when it was over, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever it is. And the downstairs, they had Chippendales male strippers for the women. So no men allowed downstairs, no women allowed upstairs. And then they would open the floodgates when the game was over, and all this testosterone
for the band
would like raise, and then the band would play, right? And I was mortified. All these like old ladies who were probably like 25. I was 19. They were like pinching my butt. And I'm like, no, I'm not one of the Chippendales dancers. You gotta leave me alone. But that was my first.
And that's why you grew a beard.
That's how I grew a beard that very night. Yeah, exactly. And it turned white that very night. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So, do another song for us, Frank.
Oh shit! Now you're gonna make me think here. Let's see. It's one of the ones I've been working up here. Oh, geez, I'm abandoned now.
All right, we're back.
All right, no. All right, I got something. Thinking of John Prine here because of what we were talking about before here. All the snow has turned to water. Christmas Day is come and gone. Broken toys and faded colors are all that's left to linger on. I hate graveyards and old pawn shops, for they always bring me tears. Can't forgive the way they robbed me of my childhood souvenirs. Memories can't be bought, can't be won in carnivals for free. It took me years to get those souvenirs, and I don't know how they slipped away from me. hearts and dirty windows make life difficult to see. That's why last night and tomorrow always look the same to me. I hate reading old love letters, oh, they always bring me tears. Can't forgive the way they rob me of my sweetheart's souvenirs. Memories you can't be bought, can't be won in carnivals for free. It took me years to get those souvenirs, and I don't know how they slipped away from me. I like that. Good old John.
We like it. We like it.
Such a great version of that with Steve Goodman doing guitar in the background, and just he was another one, goddamned assassin, and just devastatingly funny, devastatingly talented, and tragically short-lived. Fucking cancer. I tell you.
No,
Yeah.
not good. Don't do that. Don't do cancer.
Exactly. Just say no.
Yeah, that's a great tune. That's a really good. So you playing a lot? Let's do some plugs. What are you doing these days?
So let's see. I've actually got 3 gigs coming up this weekend. I've got first off, I'm lucky as hell because I'm going to see Tedeschi Trucks play tomorrow night over in Bridgeport. So that's going to be an awesome show.
Where? How's that working?
It's the Hartford Healthcare Amphitheater. It's where the baseball stadium was, the minor league baseball stadium in Bridgeport. So they're gonna be playing there. So I'm looking forward to that. I just love seeing them play. I mean, Derek Trucks he is otherworldly.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm playing a farmer's market on Saturday morning over here in Guilford, and then that evening I am playing over at Small Batch Cellars Winery in North Haven. I'm doing that's Saturday, and then Sunday I'm doing an afternoon gig over at the Castle in Black Rock.
Wow.
And then next week I got the jam night again on Wednesday over at James.
How'd that go?
It was a jam night. There were people, there were persons that played.
I've run a jam or two in my day.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely it was an open mic night. People came and played, and then I played a little bit more. And,
right.
It's I mean, you know how it goes with those things. It's
you
a
never
building.
know. You never know.
It's just it could be 15 people, could be 3. It's so. Right. But I'm hoping to build it. Right now it's going to be going like every other week. So this.
And where's that? That's Wednesdays where?
That's going to be it's every other Wednesday over at James Madison House over in Madison, like out in the woods a little ways. So it's kind of like the only place that does that in a certain geographic area. So I'm hoping it will kind of lodestone the local musicians that don't feel like driving to New Haven or wherever else that they have to go to now to go do jam nights. So we'll see. Cool. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I got a bunch of gigs actually coming up. I'm playing like 12 or 13 times this month.
That's great.
It's
insane. Terrific. I'm glad to hear that. I'm doing a little more than I was.
Oh, that's good.
I'm playing again tomorrow night. I'm playing at the Griff, which is a golf course right by Westchester County Airport. Up
King Street.
Okay. All right.
Used to be the Bruce Golf Course, I guess.
Yeah, it's on King Street.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I know the area quite well.
It's called the Cobber North. You ought to look them up. I mean, it's a little out of your territory, but they have music in there, and you ought to check them out. It's called the Cobber North. I'll
look into that one. Absolutely.
A different version of the Cos Cobber, which is a restaurant in Coscob, and they own it too. And so I'm playing there tomorrow night, and with the threat of rain, and who knows what's going to happen. We're playing outside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's always a hoot. Yeah. So Bill, I saw that you were just playing over at Magic 5. You going to be doing any more stuff down that way coming up?
I don't have another one booked for it, but I'm expecting. I mean, generally, I'll get one like within a month there. I'm playing tomorrow night. It's a funny gig. I'm playing with Neil Curry, the great Neil Curry, and John Flom on keyboards, and we're playing at the Crossroads, which used to be the Long Ridge Tavern.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a funny gig because Neil had hand surgery, so I'm basically being his hands. He's going to sing, and I'm his hands. And you know, it's great. He does, being a Brit, he has a number of songs that, you know, like he gave me, you know, like a 4-page set list, and there's a number of stuff there that's very Brit pop stuff. And I know a lot of Brit pop, but I don't necessarily know the ones he knows, like, you know, bands like Blur and Verve and things like that. And, you know, it'll be interesting. You know, we're gonna, you know, it'll be fun playing stuff that you know, like we were talking, you know, we were discussing, like, nothing's more fun than just pulling it out of your ass. Like, that's
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, there's a lot to be said for pushing yourself and playing stuff that's outside of what you're normally comfortable doing. And
the only thing, you know, he does some, he's a very good guitarist, but he's a really, really good singer. And he does some, we used to have a little sort of fun band with Michael Muggeridge and myself and him. We called it the Heebie Bee Gees, and we did nothing but Bee Gees. Like, it was all Bee Gees. And
nice.
And he just has like a great, you know, solo guitar presentation for vocal of, like, how deep is your love, you know? And it's like, I'm gonna have to shed that a little tonight later on, because I just gotta, you know, I just
right now.
I just have to make sure that
what could go wrong,
you know, to
go wrong.
yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm shedding it, it ain't gonna be on Jam TV. I'll tell you that right now.
Wise choice.
You know, I have a broken printer, you know, I have a broken printer, a broken toilet, and a broken sink that I've been working on for like 3 days, and it's like, some of it got much more complex than I thought it was going to be, you know, like particularly the sink, you know, like a trap, you know, just a regular trap in a sink, you know, but it requires me to update the piping and really convert it to like PVC and because it's got that kind of shiny, really cheap metal, you know, like it looks very chromy, but it's kind of crap.
It's not chrome. It's mystery alloy.
It's plastic with a patina is what it is.
You know, they soldered something that shouldn't have been soldered. It should have been a clip-in. So I have to, like, literally cut this thing off and figure out the widths, the depths, you know, like, figure out. And, you know,
you go to Home Depot and you're like, I need 39.5 millimeters. And they're like,
well, the beauty of this thing is I discovered a great hardware store in sort of past Stu Leonard's, you know, towards Westport, Clarence or something, you know, and it's old school. You go in there and it's like they've got everything in the little drawers where you can, you know, if you need 3/8 inch by an inch and a half, you know, like, you can find them. And I bring in the old thing to the guy there because they were recommended to me by the guy who picks up the trash at the beach where I work. He said, this place is great. It's old school. It's like, I go there and it's everything he said it was. And the guy said, this is my thing. And he says, for starters, we're getting rid of all that, you know, like, which I loved, you know, and then, you know, I had to replace the parts. But the thing is, I have to cut some things. And then there was this thing called a frampin or something like that. You know, it's like something that you put on two same size, like 2 1-inch pipes. And it's got, you know, you then screw it on both ends and it makes a solid seal. But, you know, I got to get the depths and the widths, like, not perfect, but I got to
get plumber's putty and, like, just put it all around. It'll be all right.
It's not a piano, but it should be watertight optimally. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, it's just, I was expecting to just sort of replace some shit, you know, like, I wasn't expecting to have to size it.
Foolish boy.
You know,
foolish boy.
The toilet was easier. Toilets are kind of easy, actually, you know, unless you're doing like an O-ring or something like that, you know.
Unless the place is new, never expect it to go smoothly. That's the one thing that I've learned involving tools. Just never walk up to an appliance or a computer going, this will only take a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if the guy in the store says something like, so what's this? Because I lived on a boat for 20 years, right? So you have to fix everything yourself. You can't call a plumber. You got to fix everything, like every propane thing, every whatever. And you're like, I need something that looks like this. And he goes, well, what's it for? And I'm like, forget what it's for. Forget. I don't want to get into what it's for. Like, do you have anything that looks like this? And go, we need to know what it's for. And I'm like, I don't know. What's a propane fitting for a boat, that I'm using as a plumbing for a bilge pump,
Yeah, I hate that. They always ask, so what project you working on? It's
what are you working on? You're like,
well, my car. Then why are you in a lumber store? I have a theory.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I felt good because I could bring in what was fucked up.
You start off.
I brought in, but what was weird is the thing that was coming out of the wall should have been something I could have pulled out and then replaced, and it didn't work that way. And I was looking at, am I going to have to jigsaw like a bigger hole and get in there and do all this crap?
Are we looking at drywall?
And he said, well, this is like B-board kind of stuff, like old school, like not like recently done, like older. And but basically I just have to cut that, take the other part and put that thing around it that's kind of a it's like a sash that goes on it that gets screwed in. It's like,
don't tell the homeowner's insurance company what you're doing. Don't tell.
It dates back to the wall.
They won't see it when this is done. It will look like, I don't know what it will look like.
It'll look like something nobody's going to want to touch.
Of the house. Yeah.
I generally don't do anything that could either flood or burn down the house. Like I draw the line at things
Good
that
plan.
They could really, I'll do like mutt carpentry and that kind of thing. And a lot of this stuff, it's just like you talk to a carpenter and they know how to do the stuff. They have the tools, they have all that, but they're not road scholars, and like, if you can figure it out, like sometimes you can figure it out. Sometimes not having the tools really screws you because, a guy will come in and just go like, beep, pop, 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 and then it's like done, and you don't have that,
$280 for
there's so much stuff like that. I actually just recently did a repair over behind me that would have been the kind of thing that would have been $300 because I had a little a fitting for one of the water lines that goes outside for the hose, and just little drip, right? And I'm looking at the thing and I'm like, I really don't want to try and sweat that joint and like go in there and take the thing. And thankfully, the internet came to my rescue.
Yes.
And I looked it up on YouTube and I'm like, oh, okay. And I actually just went to the store and bought packing, which is just, basically twine with graphite. And I was able to take the thing apart, rerun the packing around the outside of that where the thing came through and fix the problem.
Not a lot of people have the nerve to do the packing.
So, what can I say? I've been packing for years.
Hello. Hey now.
Hey-o.
Oh my God.
Can I get a hey-o?
No, can I? You know what I want? I want to get a song on the theremin. Is there a song in our future on the theremin tonight? Are you plugged in, Lorenz?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We were talking about AIs earlier, right?
What? Say that again, Lorenz?
AIs in pedals.
Yeah.
And somebody gave me an old iMac earlier this year, and on GarageBand there's a mode called Magic GarageBand.
Oh dear.
And it offers some modes like slow blues.
Nice. All right.
Can you hear
You
that?
do that. I'll be right back.
Start to hear it. Yeah.
Let me turn it up. And I'm going to try to play along with this. I've just been banging around with this for a little while.
I want to see that.
I've got no sound. Right? No theremin. Well, that was a dud of a demo.
What's happening over there?
I'm not getting a sound out of my Clairvox. Now I was geeking out on the Clairvox earlier. I had to mess with the volume section because it was not working. And now
Did you run out of quarters?
And I don't know why. I apologize. I was gonna play for you.
The Theremin's not working.
It's not flying. I don't get it. I can
See, that's
putter
what-
with it.
See, that's why you're supposed to use chipmunks instead of squirrels, because the
Damn
little
you,
tails don't
chipmunk.
get caught in the wheel.
Right, exactly. What happened? Is the Theremin's not working?
I don't know why. It was. I was working right before I got on the green room.
I don't
Looking
know.
good when I bought it.
Thing.
Think about baseball while you're trying to do it. Try that. Think about
Here we go.
baseball for a
Here
minute.
we go.
Now I hear it.
Here we are. Now we're cooking with gas.
Oh, I see. The tap I have for the oscilloscope was cutting out. Okay, let's get the band back. Okay. That's what's going on.
That is a wild thing there you got going.
Ed, can you hear me or no?
Yeah, we hear you now, Dave. We had you muted. We muted everybody.
Well, I would if I were you.
How you doing?
I am maintaining.
Oh
I
my
am
God,
okay.
you have facial hair now? Are you trying to be me? You trying to
Yeah,
look like Ed
yeah.
Trent?
I tried to grow a beard in St. Croix this year.
Oh,
I
there
haven't
you
seen you in so long. That's true.
That's true. We haven't seen each
And
other.
I can't grow a beard.
That's Lorenz, by the way, over there. He's in New York City, like in the Wall Street area, playing
Yeah.
theremin. He's got a
Hi, Loren.
theremin band.
How are you?
Good stuff.
Was that you doing the woo?
Theremin, yeah.
Okay.
Blue
It's a little weird,
Theremin.
but, you know,
Wild stuff.
I tried to grow a beard, and I'm Irish, and Irish don't grow beards well.
Oh, is that a thing? Really?
Yeah, that's what my dad told me. So as it grew in, I had this. You guys could. Well, I had this great chin at 25, you know, and we were like trying to make the record business happen and stuff.
Didn't we all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, I had a real jawline and shit, and somewhere between 30 and 50, it started to look not as good. to me personally.
Right.
I don't think Diane cared, but I did. And so this year in St. Croix, I said, I'm going to grow a beard. And it didn't work. And then I went, but this double chin that is appearing in my life at this later age, I don't like.
Now you got two jaw lines.
Yeah. And so what happened was I just let that go. And my wonderful wife, Diane, said, that looks good. And I started looking at it and going,
looks good. You look like a sea captain or something.
Well, but it's not going, oh, that poor bastard, he's got 3 chins,
Yeah, well, could be worse. Could be looking like your dad on Family
I'm just
Guy,
saying,
right?
You brought it up.
Yeah, I grew a mustache when I turned 18 to look older. I don't know if I want to look older anymore.
No.
I don't want to say that. I recently posted some pictures of me with my without my beard. And I was like, no, don't do that.
No, I actually,
really
a buddy of mine was a jock I played tennis with, and I haven't seen him in like a year or two because my back hurts and I can't play anymore. I came to his 50th his party, and he goes, "You lost weight," and I went, "No, I haven't." And I wasn't going to give in. I wasn't going to go, You're missing my double chin here, And it works.
Camouflage.
And
hey, it works,
I played
man.
a bunch of gigs, and it's working.
That's good.
I'm glad I made it. I've said I'm going to do this a bunch of times, and I'm usually working.
You made it. So when did you come back from St. Croix? You been back a while?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's now? July. I've been back a month and a half.
There you go.
Yeah, but I'm going back earlier this year.
I would.
Yeah, man. I'm too long a story, but I'm going back in November, and I'll stay till May.
Cool. Do a song for us.
Diane won't come down because of the grandkids until January,
right,
or something like that. But
get your guitar out. You got your guitar?
I do, and I have a story.
Song for us. Come on.
I have a story though.
Oh God, no! Let me guess. You lost your wallet.
No.
Hey, that's the story. I can't believe that.
We've heard that story.
A long time ago, I was traveling this musical called Up With People. This is
right.
I'm talking about the early 70s, like literally 70, 71, 72. And it was a rah-rah American show. And we were in London, and I was the only young kid in this cast I was in. Too long a story. They didn't like me a whole lot. So I was left by myself a lot because I was 18 and they were all 26, and they were clicked, and I wasn't part of it. But in London, we were playing at the U.S. Embassy, and they gave us an itinerary of stuff to do. And in Emory College in London, there was a professor that was going to speak on fantasy and reality to improve reality.
Okay.
And I said, that's cool. And I asked this policeman, Bobby, I said, is Emory College near here? He said, it's right there, which is, once again, God touching me on the shoulder. So I walked over there, and I walked into the student union, and it was jam-packed with kids.
Right.
And I didn't know, I stood in this old man with a hawk nose walks out, and he starts to speak. And he spoke for about an hour, but by 15 minutes into it, I had wound my way down to the front step. There were no seats, but I was sitting literally on the step with my hands like this. And when he finished, first of all, it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen, for sure. And when he finished, to a incredible standing ovation, I turned to this kid next to me. I said, that was amazing. Who was that? And he looked at me like I had two heads. And he said, are you serious? I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm American. I'm here visiting. I'm performing in London here. And he goes, you really don't know who that is? And I said, no. He said, that's J.R.R. Tolkien. And I went, But wait, I'm trying to be a wise ass like I always am. I said, well, who does he play for? You know. And the kid looked at me like, he said, okay, I'm going to do you a favor. And he reached into his bag and he pulled out a copy of The Hobbit. And he said, an old paperback beat up copy. And he said, go read this. And then go read The Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit, I think, in a day and a half.
Wow.
Seriously, because I had nothing to do. Everybody hated me. But
it's only 300 pages. That's not
no, it's not even 300 pages. It's like 200 pages. I mean, he started writing it.
I thought it was like an anthology. Yeah.
No.
Then he got nuts, as his son Chris Tolkien will attest to. And when he got into The Lord of the Rings, he became obsessed with this whole world, and he wrote so many strange things after that. Anyway, I was completely. I read the Lord of the Rings 17 years in a row.
Wow.
Every year, and every time I wrote it, every time I read it, I was a different person. I was engaged. And anyway, there was a poem in The Lord of the Rings. Oh, my battery's running low. Hold on. Please don't leave me. I just have to get.
All right. You go get a charger. You go get a charger. I'll pick up just for a brief second. So here's the effed up thing about Tolkien. Okay. Here's the really effed up thing. All of the books that he wrote, the entire world that he created of Middle-earth, literally was the reason he created it was he needed some place to put the languages that he created. He was first and foremost a linguist. So he created all of these different languages, and then he had to create people to talk the languages.
Oh, right.
So that's
right.
literally where all that stuff came from. So there's like reams and reams of stuff that reads like stereo instructions that are still out there from him that are probably brilliant and deep and amazing, but because it's this apocalyptically dry material, it will never see the light of day.
Right.
It's like what they tried to do with that Amazon series, where they took a whole bunch of the other stuff from the earlier works, and they're trying to flesh that out and trying to make a dollar off of it.
It didn't work.
Well, I mean, it didn't make $1 billion, but I think they broke even at the very least, or made a little bit more than they put into it. I'm not even sure at this point in time. I wasn't really that enthralled with that series on Amazon. But
are you talking about Tolkien again?
Yeah, we're still talking about it. So carry on, please, by all means.
He wrote so many books, and according to his son Chris, he lost it completely. He got enamored inside this world, and he wrote the Silmarillion, and he wrote a whole bunch of histories before he created. I mean, you want to talk Beethoven, you want to talk crazy, Mozart. This guy was crazy, but he was a genius. So anyway, back to my story. There was a poem in The Lord of the Rings. It was called Amroth and Nimrodel. And I read it and I went, wow, that's, there's a song there. And I'm playing solo this whole summer because Diane's up with her parents.
Right.
So I went back and I learned like 15 or 16 songs that I played as a soloist. Because I did. Anyway, this one has a ton of words, and if I F it up, I'll apologize. But I did it the other night at La Vista, and I didn't screw it up. So this is a poem from The Lord of the Rings. Now, I wasted all your time just to get there. An elven maid there was of old, a shining star by day. Her mantle white was hemmed with gold, and her shoes were silver gray. A star was bound upon her brow, and the light was on her hair. As the sun upon the golden bough, back in Lorient, so sweet, so fair. Her hair was long, her limbs were white, fair she was and free. And in the wind she went as light as leaf upon a tree. And beside the falls of Nimrod Dell, by water clear and cool, her voice as falling silver fell to the shining pool. But where now she wanders none can tell, in the sun or in the shade, for lost of yore was Nimrod Dell, and in the mountain strayed. The elven ship in the haven gray, beneath the mountain lee, awaited her many a day beside the roaring sea. Amroth beheld the fading shore, now low beyond the swell, and he cursed the faithless ship that bore him far from Nimrod Dell. Of old he was an elven king and lord of tree and glen, beyond the heaving waves that tossed her far from Lorient. Amroth beheld the fading shore, now low beyond the swell, and he cursed the faithless ship that bore him far from Nimrod Dell. Of old he was an elven king and a lord of tree and glen, beyond the heaving waves that took her far from Lorient. And from helm to sea I watched him leap like an arrow from a string, dive back into the water after Nimrod Dell. The water about him shone, sprays in his hair. Afar I watched him go after her there. But from the west has come no word, no one is here to tell. There's no tidings elven folk have heard of Amroth. Oh, Nimrod Dell.
Nice.
Very cool.
I actually fucked it up in the middle.
It's all right.
You know, I hadn't done it in a long time.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's, you know, me and JR wrote it together, man.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because you guys are tight like that.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, we're
like
cool. We're cool.
that.
I was on the steps, you know.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
cool.
Hey, closer than I ever got.
Well, it's
So what have you got going? You have gigs that you're doing now?
yeah. I'm playing this place, La Vista Bistro. I'm playing next
Yeah.
Saturday there.
Where's that?
It's
Stanford?
down close. It's the old Jimmy Seaside.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm playing this a week from Saturday, a week from next day. But like I said, Diane's gone, and the Sunset Grill is just a drag.
You're doing
mean-
those gigs at Sunset?
I did a lot of gigs at Sunset, and I said, fuck it. Because it's like playing the crab shell.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to play anymore if somebody's paying me money just to be a box or a DJ.
Yeah.
I just
Right.
won't do it. In St. Croix, that's not the case. No matter where you play, no matter what you do. But
It's
so yeah, these guys at the old tavern call me up and they want me to play,
Mhm.
but I'm just I'm just not quite. I'm doing more studio work, but I haven't found anybody. What does anybody know this place called the Magic Five?
Yeah, I'll hook you up with the guy who books there. I know the guy who books there.
Well,
So.
somebody called me and said you got to play there, and because it sounded like an acoustic venue.
Yeah, it's a neat place. I've played there. I'm actually going to be playing there in a couple of weeks. They
Really?
just do. Yeah, they do Thursdays. It's over in East Norwalk, right? It's in the
Yeah,
same
that's
lot
what
as
I heard.
yeah, it's in the same. It's like right where the train station is, and it's this neat kind of like indoor outdoor al fresco kind of
Yeah.
joint where it's great food, nice people, cool
Yeah,
staff.
you
So
do great there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great
Yeah,
joint.
yeah. And then Tor told me, Tor Newcomer?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
played with him a week ago or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to different schools together.
He's a great guy, and he plays at Rory's.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah, Rory's is a good place to try and get.
Since I put it out there, I said, look, I'm playing solo, which I haven't done in 30 years, 35 years, and thankfully some friends have stepped up and said, hey, you should try this, try that.
Yeah, right.
And
That's cool.
so I'm
Jimmy
I'm
Seaside
open.
is actually doing stuff. I used to play there lots.
Yeah, no,
Where's
he's playing there.
Where?
At
The place you were saying it used to be Jimmy Seaside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh,
that joint
Jimmy
was like my.
Seaside, man. I can't tell you how many times I almost got arrested. It's a great spot. I mean, it's completely different now. It's an Italian restaurant, it's a tiny little bar,
Right.
and I played it last Saturday. It was great. Because it holds 40 people, and 40 people come to listen to you play.
Yeah, right.
So, like every night in St. Croix, wherever we play, it's a concert. Every night up here, in the old days at the tavern, it was a concert.
Right.
But I played the Sunset Grill with Jimmy Hero, Jimmy, and Jimmy Ciarto, who's a drummer, a hand drummer, and we played it. And Jimmy Hero is one of the greatest singers I know, and the two of us would go back and forth with songs. And by the end of the gig, my daughter books the gig, right?
Yep.
And I said, I'm never playing here again.
Oh.
And she was like, what's the problem? I said,
Window dressing.
yeah, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I've always said, and Ed, you and I have talked about this. I play for me and God. And if anybody else is there, that's fine.
Right.
But if nobody else is there, you tend to get angry.
Right.
Yeah, and so I told my daughter, I said, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
So she had to cancel all my gigs.
Yeah, it's a tough thing when the people are there just to kind of see and be seen and talk.
Yeah, it's a who's who, and the music is and you're playing in a parking lot.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm 69 years old. I don't need this shit anymore.
Yeah. That's the thing. I'm 59 years old, and I'm like, I want to play gigs I like.
I'll give you $1 million to trade places right now.
I want to play gigs with people I like, and I want to play gigs at places I like, and I don't care about the whatever money. I don't care.
I don't play for money.
Right, exactly.
I haven't played for money. I played for 2 years at a place called Rum Runners in St. Croix with good friends of mine, and they were struggling to hold on.
Right.
And I said, and we had played there for 20 years for these people. And the last 3 years, I said, I don't want your money. And this buddy of mine, Chris McCullough, who's a great human being, he said, I can't do that. I said, sure you can. Give me dinner and drinks, and that's it. And for 3 years, Diane and I played there for nothing.
Right.
We don't need the money. I'll show you. We don't need the money.
Yep.
We stopped needing the money about 3 or 4 years ago. So at this point, I'm just playing for the love of it. And any of you guys who know of any place that I can play that you think is a good venue,
all right,
especially Ed, let me know, because I will. I mean, I want to play more because Diane's up with her parents for the whole summer. So I'm a bachelor in a prison right now.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll come play with you one day.
I've said that.
Let's
You
do
should
it.
do that.
Yeah, let's do
You
it.
know,
We'll talk
should do
about
that.
that.
Yeah.
I hate to be a party pooper, but I gotta get out.
Well, I'm actually going to
Good
play.
singing.
We're kind of at the end of the GMTV, and I'm going to play out with a song with a piece of music that I played a few days ago. It's just an impromptu sound check that started as like an organ trio, and then the guitar player got his guitar fixed, so he started to join in. But
Very
Nice.
cool. I'd like to thank you all for sticking around and listening.
great to see you guys, and I'll see you soon on GMTV.
Yeah.
Here's
Thanks,
that-
guys. Take it easy.
I'm glad I got here, Ed.